say this. When we think about contemplative practice and sitting in each other's silence as an example of contemplative practice, there are a number of things to bear in mind. First of all, it's a silent sit. We are actually opening up to the presence of God in silence. We're deliberately trying to avoid the dominance of the mind, of our rational processes. So there's a certain surrender. And that is what I mean by the opening up. Then also, part of sitting in each other's silence is the physical experience of those things which we believe. The love of God, the grace of God, the presence of God, that in our opening up, we actually open up to a physical experience of those things that we believe. There are two main elements, two main experiences perhaps, and the one is that there's a certain wordlessness. And I translate that by just becoming aware of love, physical experience of love. So often I will suggest that as you breathe in, you're breathing straight into your heart. You feel a warmth there and you identify that as love. So there's the love element. So that's very important, that we become so physically aware of love in our lives. We can even open up to the extent that we immerse ourselves in that love, that we become love, so as to speak. And then the second very important aspect of sitting in each other's silence is the each other aspect. In other words, the oneness. That there's also an experience of being connected, of unity, of the oneness. And I think that's very important. And within those two elements, sitting in each other's silence, then become a contemplative practice. And this can also form the basis for a number of what we can perhaps call applications of contemplative practice, where we, in the grounding that we experience, we can find a way of managing the uncertainties in our lives. We can find a way of managing anxiety. We can even have access to divine wisdom, to experience peace in making those important decisions in our lives. So basically, this can become the platform from which we then applied to become, to provide us with very practical instruments in our lives. Having said that, let's close our eyes if we're comfortable with that. And just become aware of your physical presence here this morning. As the chair is welcoming you, as your breath is bringing peace, calmness, just become aware of being here, of being present. And in that awareness, perhaps you might already experience a certain sense of belonging. As we breathe in deeply this morning, we just open up ourselves, opening up ourselves to oneness, to life in abundance. Breathe in deeply. Experience breath as being limitless. And in that, be reminded of life in abundance. And now, as we already become more calm, peaceful, breathe in deeply and just accept breath as a gift of life. And every time, every morning, as you breathe in that first breath, allow that to be a celebration of life. Now I'd like you to become aware of your feet. And as you become aware of your feet in this way, surrender to how your feet are resting on the ground. Perhaps you might even feel a certain almost heaviness in your feet. And may that remind you of being rooted, grounded. And then you might even be reminded that this grounding is in the love of God. That you're grounded in the love of God. And now, as we experience our grounding, we may also be reminded that we are sharing that we are connected in the love of God, in our grounding in the love of God. And perhaps this morning, that might become a new reality, a renewed reality, as we experience a certain oneness, unity, connectedness amongst ourselves here, and also with the rest of God's creation. Breathe in deeply again. And this time, as we breathe in, Let us breathe right into our core. And as we breathe into our core, just experience the calmness, the stability that it brings. And be reminded of the presence of God in your life in a very physical way. And I'd like you to become aware of the chair upon which you're sitting, how it's welcoming you here, how it's providing a sense of belonging, how it is actually confirming the grounding that you experienced as you're grounded in the love of God. Become aware of your back, your shoulders, your arms, your hands. And as you become aware of your hands, you might even feel that the palms of your hands are warm, reminding you that you are really filled with the love of God, that you have immersed yourself in the love of God. Breathing deeply again. This time, breathe into your heart. As you do, you might feel the warmth there. And immediately you can recognize that warmth as divine love, the love of God. And as you become aware of the love of God in your heart, you might experience a certain safety in that, but also a certain excitement as you experience that in wonder. I'd like you to become aware of the rest of your upper body, chest, your neck, your cheeks, forehead, even your hair. Breathing deeply once again, as if into your heart. Be filled with wonder as you experience the warmth of love in your heart. Allow yourself to open up to that and be filled with love as you immerse yourself. Feel it in your feet, your hands, throughout your body. As love becomes a physical reality. And now, as we're sitting fully immersed in the love of God, let us sit in each other's silence for a few minutes And this morning, as we do, and we allow ourselves to open up to the presence of God, perhaps we might also sit and wonder at the ascension of Jesus and what that might mean for us. Let us sit in that silence with each other for a few minutes. Breathing deeply again, confirming what we've just experienced, confirming as we become love for one another.